collect information about your visitors, take polls, orders, or allow visitors to your website to contact you. It's probably safe to say that in your time online, you've seen online forms and even filled out your fair share. The good news is that even the forms that look the most complex aren't necessarily difficult to create. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to create these forms in Dreamweaver so that you can easily add them to any website that you build. Before we delve into how you create a form, it's important that you know the aspects of any form that you can create. Now we're going to go over the aspects of the forms, and you will need to know these, so take time to study them carefully. First, a text field. A text field is there to collect text, but only a single line of text. These are mainly used to gather names, phone numbers, email addresses, and so forth. Now, a text area is very much like a text field, but paragraphs of text can be entered. And a checkbox is used for yes or no questions. Every field that you create in a form has a field name. The field name will tell you what information is being collected, such as email address, phone, or street address. The field labels are sent to you along with the information when you receive a completed form from a visitor. Let's say that you sell t-shirts and you create an order form. One of the questions you ask might be the size of the shirt the customer wears. Shirt size would be the field name. Large might be the size the customer gives. In addition to a field name, every field will also have a label. A label is text that tells the visitors what type of information that you want them to enter. Using the example we gave with the t-shirts, you might have the label "Enter your shirt size" for the field that collects shirt sizes. This way, the visitor knows to enter their shirt size in that field. Creating a basic HTML form is not difficult at all using Dreamweaver. Start out by opening a new HTML document. We'll teach you how to create a form in this section of the lesson. Now go ahead and save the HTML document as form in your course sites folder. So make sure you're in course sites, save that as form. Now go to the insert panel and select form. By default, common is selected, so just use the drop-down arrow to select form. And this gives you your options. Click on your document in the place where you want the form to start. And now click on form in the insert panel. Now that we've clicked to insert the form, you'll see this red rectangle in the document, pictured here. From now on, everything you add to the form will appear inside that red rectangle. Do not click outside of that rectangle when adding elements to your form. So here in split view, you can now see where the form is inserted. You see the opening tag and the closing tag. And if you click within the form, you'll now see the red rectangle defined over in the design area. This is the form area. So let's start out by adding a text field to collect someone's name. To do this, go to the Insert panel and click Text. As you can see, a new field was created to enter text, and you can see the way our HTML code has changed as well to add that text field. And if we wanted to, we could change the name that's displayed in Design View by selecting Text Field and replacing it with something else. So to do this, go to the Insert panel and click Text Field. It's going to give you a few different options for CS6, but we're going to ignore these for now and just hit OK. And you can see our text field has now been automatically created. Now we're going to go down to the Property Inspector and make some more changes to customize the text field for our form. In the text field box, type a name. By default, it is called text field. But we may want to call it name, so we'll change that. You must create different names for text fields so that it can be distinguished from others. In the char width box, enter the number of characters you want visible in the text field. Since this is a name field, give people plenty of room to type their names. So for example, we might want to give 30 characters. In the max chars box, specify the amount of characters someone will be allowed to enter. This field is only visible if you choose single line radio button, which you can see is selected here. This field is only visible if you have single line selected, as we do here. Instead, it will appear as asterisks. In the class drop-down list, apply any class of CSS styles you have defined in the site. In the init val text box, type the text you want displayed when the form loads. For example, we might say, add your name. And this way, it'll be displayed in the text field so that people know what to type. A note to CC users, the property inspector options are slightly different in CC. Use size to determine the char width described for CS6. Use max length for max chars. Now, of course, you can also add other form elements. All the form elements that you can add are visible in the Insert panel. To add a new form element, push Enter to put the element on a new line, and then choose the element from the Insert panel that you want to insert. You can see here we've added email, URL, and telephone. Now let's say you want a user who's filling out your form to be able to choose from multiple selections as their answer. It's kind of like when you fill out a form and select the state you live in from a drop-down menu. To do this, choose Select on the Insert menu. Now put your cursor next to the field and type a question such as, what state do you live in? Next, select the field that represents the list on your page. You'll then see the List menu Property Inspector. Go ahead and specify the properties as you did with the text field by giving it a name and type and so forth. Then click the List Values button shown in the Property Inspector. Enter the choices you want your visitors to be able to choose from when they view the drop-down menu. You'll use the plus sign to add new values and the minus sign to delete values. Click OK when you're finished. You can also add radio buttons. A radio button gives visitors choices that they can make by clicking on the radio button to select their choice. You can use radio buttons for yes/no questions or for multiple choice. To add radio buttons, click the radio button on the Insert panel. To the left of the radio button, type a question. An example might be, what is your favorite food? Then hit Enter if you want the choice to appear on the next line. Type in your choice, for example, chocolate. Then just continue to click the radio button panel to add more choices. If you want to use radio buttons for multiple choice, a quicker way to do that is to select Radio Button Group from the Insert panel. And as you did with the drop-down list, you would select however many choices you wanted, change the names, click OK, and it will automatically populate those for you. Now, a checkbox is most commonly used for yes, no, and multiple choice answers. To add a checkbox, select Checkbox from the Insert panel. You'll follow the same steps as you did with the radio button. So for example, you may ask, do you like eating? And you would respond with yes or no. And you would add checkboxes for yes or no. Just as with the radio buttons, if you want to add multiple checkboxes, select Checkbox Group and you can add your fields there. So now you've got all these different types of fields, but of course, whenever you create a form, you'll want to include a Submit button so that your visitors can send the information to you. To create a Submit button, click in the bottom of your form, but make sure you're still inside the red rectangle. Go to the Insert panel and insert a button. Now make sure your button is selected and then go to the Property Inspector. Next to Action, you can choose to either Submit Form or Reset Form. In this case, we want to Submit, so we'll make sure that Submit is selected. In the Value box, type the text that you want to appear on the button. We want to leave it as Submit, so we'll leave it there. Once you've done that, it's time to configure your form so that it's sent to you whenever someone fills it out. To do this, we're going to use a Cgi script. CGI stands for Common Gateway Interface. These scripts are written in Perl, PHP, ASP, Java, or C++. They work with your web server to process the data sent by the user who filled out the form. Some web hosting service providers offer mail scripts that you can use with your forms. If they don't, you can download and configure a script online if you have the right access on your server and know how it's configured. However, it's recommended that you just find a service provider that offers CGI scripts for you to use. If you have a CGI script, let's learn how to make it work with your form. Click inside the red border of your form. You want to make sure the Form Property Inspector is displayed. If you see the property inspector for one of your form elements, go to Split View and click after the opening form tag, which for us is up here. And this is what that looks like. Now where it says Action, click the folder to the right of it and locate your CGI script. Then you'll go to the Method field and choose either Get, Post, or Default. Which one you choose will depend on your script. Then you would click Target and tell the browser what it should do when someone pushes the Submit button. Choosing _blank means the results open in a new browser window. In the Ink Type field, determine how the data is to be formatted when it's returned. Now let's talk about inserting hidden fields. There are a lot of scripts that will require that you use hidden fields. Hidden fields contain data that the user doesn't see. This may include the email address that the form is sent to when the Submit button is clicked. To add a hidden field, go to the Insert panel and choose Hidden Field. Go to the Property Inspector and add a name for the field. If you're using the script formmail.pl, you would enter the recipient as the name, then the email address of the recipient as the value. Go to the Property Inspector and add a name for the field. If you were using the script formmail.pl, you would enter the recipient as the name and the email address of the recipient as the value. Next, click to put your cursor inside of the form tag, and then click on the hidden field icon in the form's insert bar and add another hidden field. In the Property Inspector, enter the name as subject. In the Value field, enter a subject line for the field. Now, whenever someone submits the form, it will